Hello and welcome everybody to episode 25 of the Get Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast series. I am so happy to be here. I am feeling so grateful for this opportunity. I want to begin by bringing on our guest for today. Welcome, Barbie. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Well, thank you so much for making the time to join. Shall we get started?
Yes, yes, it's my
So,
pleasure.
Barbie, tell us, tell us the story of how you and I met.
Oh, that was super sweet. I just have met my Brazilian friend in a festival, Totality Festival, and I was so happy because it was my first festival ever doing it by myself. So she said, "Hi, Barbie, I'm gonna be in San Francisco. You want to meet?" And I, absolutely. Then she brought Lion, and oh my god, that was super beautiful. Lion were doing the poetry and the music, and that was such an amazing open mic. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, yes, Lion, Lion!" I was seeing everyone just loving you, and I was just loving you as well. That was super fast. I was just feeling something here. I'm super grateful to meet you.
Likewise, you made quite the impression on me. One of my first impressions was just you were somebody who was just so full of love and adoration. It was quite a beautiful evening, and I feel so grateful um, that our paths crossed. So thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So with that, I would love to introduce Barbie. So Barbie um, was born in America, an American, but was actually raised in Brazil for most of her life, and she did not speak any English when she re-immigrated to the U.S. 2 years ago. And I just have to say, I'm so impressed that, with her abilities at this time and point, it just goes to show the tremendous growth. And she did so coming to the US at the age of 22. Um, Earlier on in her life, at a pretty young age, around the age of 19, she knew that she wanted to come to the US, maybe even earlier. But at the age of 19, she decided to commence her journey to come to the US, but ran into issues that we will get into. And so, though her arrival to the US was delayed, it set into motion a few things. One of the key decisions at that point was for her to decide to do silicone breast surgery. And as a result of that surgery, she underwent quite a lot of physical trauma um, that sent her into one of the deepest darkness or the deepest darkness of her life. And it was at that point, as she was grappling in the low of her life, that she had this realization that nobody was going to be able to help her, truly help her, and that she was completely on her own. And as a result of that pain and suffering, you know, she had this realization and subsequent decision that she herself is responsible and needs to cultivate the power to determine her independence and her own path in life. And so she began a 3 year long, arduous recovery process where she worked hard. And she explored different avenues, ways of slowly healing her mind, body, and soul. um, and that was before she even came to the U.S. So, with that, Barbie, is there anything you would like to add into this introduction before we get into it? Anything that I might have missed?
Such introduction. So I wanted to introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm Barbie, and I am a healer. I'm an astrologist. I have my women empowerment project, and yeah, everything I have been going through,
All
I
right.
help others.
Yes. And so, just to reiterate, she's a healer, an astrologist, and um, very, very passionate about women's empowerment. One of the things that we hope to do is put her website in the description so that, if you want to continue the conversation with Barbie, that you have a way to do that. So, with that, Barbie, tell us the story of your first love, um, your realization of your codependence at the time, and why you decided to end that relationship in pursuit of your dreams.
Yes. So all my teenager time, I was surrounded by friends, um, and little love cases. So my first really serious relationship, I was around 15 years old and 16 years old, and that was a 2 years relationship. So we used to hang out together. We used to spend our holidays together. I met all his family. I was 25 hours per day in his house when he was not 20,000 hours per day in my house. And everything my word was him all the time. And then I had the insight that I would marry him. I would have kids with him. And that's what would be beautiful, you know, because he was a person when every time when I was waking up, I wanted to see his message. I wanted to talk with him, and, and even with my friends, I was thinking about him. And for me, that was kind of normal, you know. So before if of this relationship, I had some family issues, or like some, like, I was feeling something on my heart was kind of like missing.
Mm.
Then when we met, me and my ex-boyfriend, I was feeling like, oh my god, I have everyone, have someone who is there for me, you know. But I wanted to move out. I wanted to move to another country. I wanted to talk about astrology, and my ex-boyfriend didn't really love that and didn't really appreciate me when I was talking about that. I wanted to talk about, like, just, I don't know, I just wanted to be a teenager who, like, kind of like in love with life, you know. And I felt that to be with like in this relationship, I kind of like had to hide some part of myself. Then when I told him, so I want to go back to my country when like I'm gonna be older, you want to go with me? And he told me like, so Barbie, I don't really want to go, I like to live here, but if you're going, I can go with you, you know. Then that gave me insight like, oh my god, he totally, he gonna be following me, but he gonna be following me, he not gonna be following his heart, you know. And someday he just gonna blame me for that.
Mm.
But he was still everything for me, you know.
Wow.
So I feel like unconsciously, when we see that something don't really gonna work out, you know, it just stopped work out. So I realized that the way I wanted to live my life, because I was still like 16 or and like 15 and 16, and I still wanted to explore myself. I still wanted to explore my sexuality. I still wanted to explore what is to have a family, but what am I first? What type of person who I am, because it's so common, like I see so many people that, oh my God, I just realized myself after I became a mother. Okay, but who you are before that, you know? And this is it's such a journey. So suddenly, me and my ex-boyfriend, we didn't work out anymore.
Mm,
And for a long time, I blamed him for that, for a long time.
mm,
So that was funny because before I moved here, we had this meeting, and he was looking at me like, "Oh my God, you must hate me." And I was just looking at him like, "Oh my God, yes, I hated you for a long time. I missed you for a long time. I was obsessed with you for a long time." But I recognize my side, and I am very grateful for who you are, you know. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to tell it for him. And then when I told it for him, he was looking at me like, "What? Are you not angry? Are you not angry? Like, are you not mad at me?" And it's
yeah.
just okay. It's just okay. It doesn't matter how things finish. It just matters how you both are feeling. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, of
it's just
course.
like, I don't know. I feel like he's still part of my family, my soul family, but we are not just together anymore. So, yes, that was my first love. And yes.
So, thank you so much for sharing that. Um, and I think, this story is something that a lot of people can resonate with. And as hard as that decision must have been for you to make, that wasn't the hardest thing that you had to grapple with, because earlier in the introduction, I mentioned how you made a decision to have breast surgery, and there were complications as a result of it. Um, can you help us understand um, where you were, or like, what drew you to want to get the surgery, and when things didn't go as you had expected, you know? Because these days it's a pretty, common thing, especially in a place like Brazil. People travel to Brazil just for that procedure. Um, and it didn't happen with you. um, Help us understand, some of that mental anguish, um, so that we can understand the darkness you were experiencing.
So, do you know what is? Are you looking at yourself every day and you are not really happy? You look at yourself and you see, like, wow, I like this, I like this, I like this, but I don't like that and that and that. And then everyone says that you're good, your mother says you are beautiful, but you still don't really feeling that, you know? So what is exactly you're like making a breast surgery, like you're kind of like cutting your own body and putting this and saying like, I want to be like that, I want to be that person I see on television, and I want to be so beautiful as her. And then and that's okay, because at that time I was making a decision and I was like, I'm actually making a hard decision about my body. I accept that I don't need the best self-esteem ever to be full satisfied with my body the way it is. I can change that. So in the moment I was signing with the doctor and saying you can make the breast surgery, I'm actually very independent. I can make this choice, and I don't know if this is the right choice or this is the wrong choice, but I'm making one. right now, and I'm making what is better for me. And that was kind of fun because I went in so many doctors,
Mm.
and my choice was the only one that said like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna work out. Like it's gonna work out the exactly way you want," you know.
Mm.
So sometimes in life you're like so surrounded by I want that, and then really don't really listen to anyone else, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, I had this breast surgery. Then the doctor said you have to stop smoking, you have to stop drinking, you cannot move so much.
Mm.
And then yes, I gotta do that, you know. So every time when I was about to totally heal, okay, you're just gonna try one cigarette.
Mm.
Yes, oh my God, my friend, she's so close by. I can just see her a little bit, you know? It's gonna be
Mm.
like the 30 minutes that becomes like 12 hours hang outing with someone.
Mm.
And then you suddenly understand that your breast never gonna heal
Wow.
because you cannot heal, you know? So I was coming to the doctor again, paying more medicines, paying more surgeries, paying more. It's not a really good feeling when you see your breast. Like, I don't know, that was a time I'm sorry everyone who's listening to this, but my silicone just get out of my body. And that was a completely rejection about this external thing that was
Mm.
inside of me. And I was still insisting, insisting because I want to be beautiful, you know. I want my ex-boyfriend remember me and see my Instagram pictures. I
Mm.
want him to see my Facebook pictures and say, wow, oh my God, I wish we didn't break up, you know. And then every time I was with this feeling, I was every time thinking about others. And that was kind of like funny because when I did this surgery, that was the first decision that I really make for myself. Nobody was really supporting me. But I had access to one thing that I really most love in my life, that is astrology. You know, I was already astrologer, but at that time I was having more content, I was having more things to study. I had the knowledge of Tantra as well.
Yeah.
So because part of my women empowering project, it's about how you can really see yourself. And there is no better way to see yourself when you're like in totally darkness and pain of yourself because you just don't love who you are, you know. You just don't love who you see in the mirror, and you just don't love even your friends. They keep saying, you're beautiful. You don't really stop saying that. you know and I kind of like feel, I don't know if you like know a little bit of body metaphysics, but they say that it's kind of like a philosophy about how we can correlate our body and our emotions in a metaphysical level. So example, we can correlate this with astrology, that Mars is like the head, you know or the breast, it's Cancer, and Cancer is your mommy, it's your mom. So every time when I was seeing my breast like that, I was like, oh my God, what do I need to solve with my mom? You know? So that was 3 years of my life.
Wow.
That was, I was consistently saying, I want to go, I want to be free. I, I want to have my own life. I don't want to feel like arrested for something I'm not really guilty for, because I was kind of like, I don't really to feel I in this jail that I myself, like I put me in that. So that was 3 years of very beautiful and dark self-reflection. But also that was the best time of my life because before this breast surgery, usually like when we are like pretty and we can hang out, we have like and we're like teenager. There is so many people who wants to hang out with us. You know, we have so many friends, we have so many little lovers. Then when I did this breast surgery, I said like, no, now it's time for myself.
Mm,
And that was the time for myself. That was the time to understand that I really love holistic therapies. That was the time for myself to really get into religion and comparated religion studies. That was the time to me see lectures and really get into what I love most, you know. So I would say I spent so many time about this breast surgery, but that was worth every penny because I had this 3 years workshop how I can really get in a deep state of healing, you know. And yes, and that's funny. I met so many people, you know, people that I feel if I didn't really have this breast surgery, I didn't really have, I would have the opportunity to meet them.
yeah,
So sometimes, like, okay, I really think this is the worst thing in my life, but is it the worst thing in my life? Am I opening my eyes to see, you know? Because sometimes unexpected things can happen with you, and that actually can be really
mm,
good if you don't really let your ego lead, you know?
indeed, indeed. Thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, that's very powerful. I believe that our deepest darkness is the fuel for our greatness. And so, thank you for validating that with your own life experience. So, earlier you told us how, pretty early on, you were passionate about astrology and um, other holistic modalities. And then when your own trauma happened, you were the best guinea pig for basically the journey within and the exploration of all of these different topics and ways of healing. And so, can you tell us the story, the life changing story, really, of the healers who came into your town and how that started the journey of you going deeper into the healing sciences and becoming a healer yourself?
Yeah. Just adding something,
Yeah.
this breast surgery story. Um, in astrology, we have the Chiron myth, and Chiron is very associated with Sagittarius. And Chiron, he was the centaur, like he was the half horse and half man that was the most intelligent being in the Olympus, you know. And then all the goddess, all the gods, they used to bring their kids, and they used to really want this being teaching them. And Chiron, he was an immortal being, you know. And I don't know if you know, like Achilles.
Yeah.
So certain day, Achilles, he was kind of like training his weapons, and then he mistaken their target, and then he got Chiron. Chiron
Mm,
are immortal being, and that was full of poisoning. You know, Chiron was immortal, but he got so many poisons from this how I say that in English, this weapon.
yeah.
So Chiron spent all of his life studying medicine, studying how he can heal from that.
Mm,
But the poisoning was so great. that he really never get the healing from that, you know. But since he was studying so much, he was healing everyone around him.
Mm.
Everyone. And that was how the medicine that we have now was created.
Okay.
So sometimes I feel in these 3 years, I was always like, okay, in the next day, I'm gonna be healed. You know, in the next day, it's gonna work. In the next day, I still today, I still something. My soul is broken. You know, and that's okay because every day when I help someone somehow, I feel a little bit more healed, and that resonates so much with me. So it's kind of funny. Um, you're asking me how other healers were coming to my space. So
Mm.
in Brazil, I had this very big house, and but I was also super recovering of my breast surgery. You know, I was in the last. It was almost finishing, but it took a little bit of time, and I was seeing some medical workshops. So I was from Minas Gerais, the state, and also we had like São Paulo, we had Rio de Janeiro, like 9 hours distance, like San Francisco and Los Angeles distance.
Mm.
Um, and I was seeing so many magicians publishing that they would have like this life-changing workshop, magic workshop, you know, hermetism and um, chaos magic, so many things I never heard about, you know, and then I want to go, but I have no money. So I was praying and I was really co-creating this, and then I had the idea of call these guys and say, "Hi, I'm Barbie. You want to do the workshop in my place? You don't really have to pay me anything. I just want to participate and I can collaborate with you and we can create together."
Mm.
That worked. That worked. So in the next week, they were coming to my space, and then a whole new world came to me. So I started to find people from other states
Mm.
to have workshops in my place, also from my own city, you know. So uh, I was feeling like, okay, I don't really cannot go to anywhere because I have this breast surgery. I cannot really,
Yeah.
but people can come to me.
Yeah.
People can come to me, and at the same time, I can really be doing something that I'm feeling it's part of my calling. Because when I had this idea, like, okay, I can just call them and I can just ask them to come to my place, I was like, oh, they're never gonna like what? It's too much for you, Barbie. You know, it's too much for you. And no, it's not too much for me because that was great. And then I started to have like more co-creations. Then I started. We had like colotherapy workshops in my space. We had clinical hypnosis immersive trainings. Then I also became a hypnologist. We also had women's circle. We also had like magical events,
Wow.
and we will have so much more if COVID didn't really have would happen. You know,
Yeah.
so COVID just happened after that.
Mm.
Then I was already so happy about that because I already having all my clients in my space. That was super cute. That was I was knowing so many new people talking about magic and talking about energy manipulation and how we can co-create your reality. And at the same time, I used to mix astrology and how we can all create from that and make this very nice bubble, you know, and messy but super nice to understand and to study. And that was a whole new community. Then COVID started. Then that happened a really nice movement in Brazil that all the magicians
Mm.
they started to have like collaborations online, and that was amazing. That was beautiful because I was participating of everything. I was training my magical rituals every day. I was getting meditation classes. I was getting so many new a new word besides the healing that I was already in.
Yeah.
And all the time I was understanding like, oh my god, these guys, they're like my mentors, you know, they are teaching me how I can co-create. These guys, they are teaching me how I can have a community that I really feel good at, you know, that I really can feel included. At the same time, I really can feel myself because I can talk about astrology all the time and I really can make magic from that. So that was like philosophy and all the subjects that I was so passionate about in these communities.
Mm.
Then, yeah, that was a super nice time. Um, I started to participate of some groups. We were discussing philosophy, we were discussing magic every day. Then, after a certain time, I had a partnership with a teacher, and I created the astrological group uh, community.
Wow.
So I had this whole new type of people that loved magic but don't really know about astrology. And I was already super into magic astrology. So me and this teacher, Alex, we were doing monthly practices, weekly discussions, and we are talking about magic. We're informing so many new people about astrology and how you can make it consciously magic from that, you know. Because usually magic, when we talk about magic, we think, oh, that's dark magic, that's white magic, that's Christian magic, you know. So astrological magic is not dark, is not white, it's just neutral.
Mm.
You're just getting archetypes. So somehow I was teaching so many new people that you don't really need to have a religion to do magic and to co-create in our reality. And that was a amazing group. We had so many practices. It's just finished because I was in a new journey path. I
Mm.
was coming here to the United States. My breast was finally healed
Mm-hmm.
because I finally found myself. Then I found the little key that this karmical situation was asking me.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yes, I moved here. That was a new path.
And that's a wonderful segue. Thank you, Barbie, because I would love for you to share with us, your experience. Tell us a story of when you finally came to the United States, right? Like so many years from your first experience of going to the US Embassy and nurturing that seed, that dream of coming to the US and the expectations that you had, and what was it like for you, being in New York City, as this kind of fresh re-immigrant, right? Or coming home, rather, in a way that you hadn't really known before. Tell us about that.
Yes, when sometimes we're talking about like coming to United States, that kind of sounds like the American dream. You know,
Yeah.
for me, for me, I was like, I'm living in this place with my family. I see all my pictures, and all my pictures are in a different space.
Mhm.
And I also have other family that is in New York and in Florida, and they were still contacting me. So all my childhood, I was l- listening about them and about
Mhm.
their lives and about what they were doing and how they loved me so much. And I always felt like I wanna. My heart calls me for there. You know,
Yeah.
my heart. I want to be there. At least I want to see what is it because it's like that is this familiar constellation theory, and they say basically when you are born in somewhere, you feel that you're part of this place because you are part of this metaphysical field. So you're part of this. So if suddenly you just go away, we're still feeling that. So I don't know for the people. For me, this is real. For me, I felt that then all my life I wanted to go back. I wanted to go here. And then I was 10 years old and I told my parents, hi, when I'm gonna be older, I'm gonna be going back, okay? And my parents were like, sure, okay. Then I was 15 years old and mommy, can I go? And she, yes, when you're older. Then I was 18 years old and I asked my ex-boyfriend, hi, can we go? And he said, yes, you can by yourself.
Mm.
So that hurt. I had this, like, when I talk about finding my independence and emotional intelligence, it is about how can I just move away from the country I was raised in just by myself
Yeah.
and just living and just building a new life. So I understand that, like, in some unconscious level, breast surgery or darkness, all the darkness I was living through, I put myself into that because somehow I was afraid to move here and to start everything just by myself, just saying, yeah, this is the new life I want to co-create, but I'm not ready right now. So somehow we're gonna create some new situations. And then I just moved. I just moved after so many tries. I just moved, and that was beautiful. You're like in Times Square, and the
Mm.
sun is rising, and you were like, wow, so many new people and everyone. Nobody's knows Portuguese, so like, oh, I have to learn so much. That was such a nice, challenging situation, and so many different ethnicities, and the way people talk with you is different. The way they socialize with you is different. So I was like, oh, yes, 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 yes. Total new learnings and totally new experience coming from me, and I did that. I did it for me. That was a really second really great thing I did for myself. The first one that this is breast surgery, but so yes, that was beautiful, beautiful. I was with no money, so I did like a volunteer exchange.
Okay.
So I was doing volunteer exchange for a while until I really get a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
I was also with no money. My family that I was, yeah, they're gonna have all support. It was not exactly how I was really feeling.
Mm.
So I had all of this darkness in a city that you were just by yourself and you don't really have any family. And even if you're like calling for your mom, she don't really gonna understand and she's gonna say, go back for your house, go back for
Mm.
your home.
Come back
So
to
I can't really
Brazil.
so I can't really say that for your family. They don't really want to see you suffering. So
Yeah.
that was a really dark side, like a really dark thing. And I was feeling like I'm gonna be living all my life here. I just achieved my goal, but I don't really feel in that, and I don't know if I want this because in Brazil I was like having this beautiful center and so many people like talking with me, and then in the other month I was in a new place that I didn't really have the language,
Mm.
the culture, and the laws.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this very dark moment with me. Um, that was super dark and painful to just realize that okay, I did it for myself, but this is not enough. I have to do more,
Yeah.
and I don't know if can I handle that. And actually, okay, I can handle that, but I know it's gonna be super yoga. It's gonna be
Yeah.
super yoga. Yes. So yes. So I found a Brazilian girl who was finding me some jobs, and she
Mm.
was, I don't want you doing volunteer. Come live with me. You
Mm.
have the same age as my daughter. Come here. And I I trusted her. I trusted her, and that was also one of the first times that I had this beautiful heart
Mm.
experience. Someone so unexpected, and I was sort of not. I was sort of not. I was just asking for help somehow, and that wasn't like financial help. That was more. I need some support. I need someone saying to me
Guidance.
that I really can do
Yeah.
that. And surprisingly, it really came from a man that came from another woman who also did the same thing as me.
Mm.
Then she told me that I could be living with her like the time I wanted. Um, and that was working. That was super nice. I was living with her for 2 weeks. Then I had this feeling that okay, I it's not enough yet. I don't know what is it, but it's not enough. I want to follow my dreams. I want to share my knowledge. I want to make the difference. I don't know what I do here. Here is not enough. So I had some non-profit organizations in Brazil, like collaborations. I was
Mm.
collaborating with them. Then I started to call with them, like and saying, "Hi, do you know some Brazilian people that is, I don't know, doing something cool in anywhere in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, please?" Then they sent me a contact about Tiago,
Mm.
and he's a we still contacting, we still we are friends, and he just told me that yes, I have a ayahuasca church. I am following my dreams as well. I was living in Boston for so long, and then I had the calling to go to California. Then I'm living here in San Diego. But
Mm.
you should come. Then the next week, I was buying the ticket.
So fast. So
So
fast. No hesitation.
no time to waste. It's your dream. It's your life.
Yeah.
It's you. All the time is you. Nobody gonna do it for you. Nobody gonna say yes, do that. We're gonna love you for that. No, no.
Yeah.
So I went to California. So now I was with no anyone supporting me again.
Yeah.
But now I was feeling loved, and I had this friendship, that this sisterhood in New York, that I knew that anytime when I was emotional, and I can call and I'm gonna receive some support. So I went in a volunteer in Berkeley. Then I found a part-time job. Then I found a rent.
Mm.
Then I found a community, and that was where we met. That was in the Center's SF. If you any day you're in San Francisco, go to the Center SF.
Yeah.
It is an amazing tea house community, growth community. You can do spirit events, you do yoga, you meet so many new people. You have open mics hosted by amazing people, and I felt that was beautiful. Okay, other journey challenging. English. You already have
Yeah.
a home. You already have something. What do you do if you're in somewhere that you love everyone and you are loving the space, but you don't really know English? Like the heck.
Mm-hmm.
So my roommate was asking me today, how did you learn English so fast? And I was like,
Yeah.
making mistakes. Making mistakes. I know I make a mistake every each time. In 1 minute, I make like 1,000 mistakes, and that's totally okay. Sometimes I can see if the people's facial expressions, then I try to correct myself, or sometimes you're just like, okay, just do the grammar every day. You do a little bit of homework, and I feel it's the best way you can learn. I don't know, that's just working for me. Uh, I I also experienced a little dark experience, like a dark feeling that because like when you're learning a new language, you have to be humble
Mm-hmm.
because you know that you're gonna make mistakes all the time, and sometimes people don't gonna be super loving and caring,
Yeah.
and then you're not gonna really feel your ego coming up. You know how
Yeah.
the same jokes you used to do in other countries don't gonna work anymore here. You're gonna
Yeah.
need to find a new way to socialize. Yeah, you're gonna need to find a new way to interact romantically because everywhere is different. You're gonna you have to build a total new personality for you.
Wow.
So the way you do business is kind of different. Like if you're American, if you were raised in America and you're gonna go to another country, it's okay. But if you're for another country and then going to American, you have to learn the American way. That's amazing because American way it's super
Uh-huh.
blah blah.
Yeah.
So yes, and that was kind of challenging because every time I was making some mistake, I was feeling like, yes, I am not part of. I don't belong here. I am from another country. I was having um this feeling that is, oh my god, everything. I still keep it doing things for me. I keep following the heart calling, but it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
So that was when I started to do therapy and to work this other side of me that is the ego side, like um so all the time when I'm saying this like as a journey, that was a very special moment that I was totally vulnerable, um and I really trying to work on my body and trying to work on my mind, because every challenge we put in your mind, they are kind of like, it's a mental thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the mind creates emotion and the emotion creates a reality. So all the time, like, okay, I'm still in this journey, it's not finished because I moved, it's not finished. So it's not finished. So keep doing, keep going this, keep it doing. Doesn't You don't really need to be rewarded in every situation that you are in. You know, Actually, this is a great opportunity to help people that is close of you, that is living the same thing as you. So I found this such a great support in my own spiritual community, in my own Brazilian community as well. And okay, I still know that my English is not amazing, but I still feeling that I'm doing so good. And
Yeah.
yes, I'm doing like so good because it's not about the external world, it's everything about my words. It's everything that shines from me. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So I'm curious, when you talk about these struggles of, sort of as you're forced to be independent and you sort of realize that you are struggling as part of learning the culture and finding your niche. Um, do you have any stories, some instances that really have stuck with you, as far as some of the darkness that you've had to experience?
I can say that, like, when you're living a cultural exchange,
Mm,
you're vulnerable. So some people can like you for that, don't exactly for who you are, but more for the vulnerable, really for the caring thing inside of themselves. But some people, they just cannot like you, and this is another thing that you have to work on. And at the same time, when you're in a new romantic partnership,
mm,
the same traumas that you had before, now that works different here. So I was surrounded by so many very hard worked, like very somehow healed people or conscious people. But at the same time, I trusted myself so much in some experiences that, okay, I can trust everyone. And actually, I have to trust in myself. Every time,
mm.
like, um, yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question.
Um, what I'm hearing is that, in the circles that you ran, right, which is in the healing community, and as part of the cultural exchanges that you underwent, that you had to be quite vulnerable. And, you sort of, decided to sort of be quite open. And despite that, it was a place where um, you were not treated with the same kind of love in return. And ultimately, it helped you to realize this lesson that ultimately you have to have trust within yourself, and that the outside world, the outside environment, um, you know, you can't necessarily count on that because people deal with their own darkness, even though they're in a healing community, right?
Sometimes we are talking about healing and healing and healing all the time, and we are not really living the healing.
Yeah.
So, as a therapist, like as a coaching person, sometimes I feel like people they do something that is not that congruent with their speaking, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes that can hurt you as well because you're kind of like vulnerable, and because it's a new community. It's not that much because of the culture exchange, more because it's a new community and you want to be accepted. And God of us were answering all my prayers. Uh, yeah, you can say.
No, 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 go ahead. There was just a lot of disturbance, so I just wanted to bring attention. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Yeah, and God was answering all my prayers. So sometimes we kind of like we can blind ourselves in some ideas. So it's important to us, to everyone. Like, it's not because you are a therapist, it's not because you are in a healing community, it's not because you are religious somehow or spiritual. It's not because of that you are perfect.
Mm,
And it's important to you remember that okay, when I'm talking about healing and I'm doing my real healing, or and I just surrounded of another healing people that is just doing the same thing. So yes, in my past communities, I didn't really have this experience exactly because this healing vibes and this okay, I have to do my homework. It's in everywhere. Doesn't matter the country, doesn't matter the city. In my experiences in Brazil as well, and that's why we are still on healing because something inside of us is broken. Then that hurts, and that hurts so much that we need to be close of people that believe in the same thing and want the same thing for them, for themselves, so they can be our inspiration. At the same time, we can be our inspiration for them. So I don't really have any specific history, like,
oh,
but
that's.
every time I see someone like, okay, I'm not really being congruent, I feel like, okay, what can I learn from this person?
Mm,
What can I learn from this person that they are saying something that they're really doing? Or can I help this person somehow? Can I ask them if they want my help in a way that my ego is not talking and their ego are not listening, like it's soul for soul. So yeah, yeah.
wow. Um, I think the last thing that you said, so profound and wise, because I can tell you, honestly speaking, when I'm in a challenging situation, um, when my ego is inflamed and it's a you know um, emotionally tough situation, I've never really considered what can I learn from this individual, right? Or what could this individual be teaching me in the conscious way in which you just shared that, right? And I think that that's really very wise because, you know, if I can remind myself of that the next time I'm in a challenging situation and take a pause, then I can change the outcome of that situation. But then I can also cultivate more compassion in my heart for that person who, was challenging me, which I think is definitely on the path of how I am trying to grow as a human being. Yeah.
Exactly. I love it. I love you have this insight.
So, thank you so much for your wise words, Barbie. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for your courage. Thank you so much for your growth and your humility. I feel so grateful to have had the opportunity to co create um, this magical experience that will live on for long after, you know, many, many years. And I hope that our audience I'm sure that our audience has, been able to uh, benefit from your journey and your sharing. And if nothing else, to feel as though they are not alone in their trials and tribulations, in their darkness. And so, with that, are there any last words, Barbie, that you would like to share before we close out today's episode?
I want to thank you, Lion. I appreciate the work. I appreciate how your light gives so much light for so many amazing women, and from that you empower so many people. And I feel the world needs more of that. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And here is to empowering more women and to cultivating the space for more women to wake up to their power, for more women to wake up to their healing, for more women to wake up to seeking out support in other sisters like yourself. So, with that, I want to thank you once again, and I want to thank our audience for joining. Until the next time and the next episode, I want to wish you love and light. Farhizi over and out. Thank you very much.
Bye.